The FGC is a community full of individuals that are extremely talented. These talents come together in the FGC to help cultivate it to a higher level every day. In the DFW, the talent is plentiful to cultivate the scene. One of these talented individuals is Evan Mays. He is a competitor, commentator,
Man, the projectile. Here comes Stank Boy. Oh man, oh my gosh, the Rekka. Oh my god, the SSBA from Stank Boy.
and full time streamer.
Not good. Yeah, that's what you get for shooting my friends.
I sat down with Evan to discuss his upbringing, how he came into gaming, and that transition into fighting games. Let's hear the amazing experience of this player.
Wow, the amazing story of how I was first introduced into video games. Well, the way I was introduced into video games was a very, very long time ago. I think I was like 3, maybe 4 years old, maybe. My uncle used to live with us back when we used to live in Winnetka, and he played Mega Man, I think it was, a lot. He played it a lot, and me and my other brother Adam, we used to watch him play. I didn't know what was going on. I just saw a whole bunch of bright colors flashing all over the screen, Mega Man jumping around, and I used to ask my uncle, "Oh, what does that say?" And he would have to read the exact same sentences over and over and over again. So he let me play one time, and I got completely bodied. It was pretty bad, but I never forgot. I never forgot what that feeling of just being able to play the game in the first place, you know. And after that, I really liked video games. I liked watching them, and then eventually I got my turn to actually play the games. Man, what was the first actual game I played? Oh man, had to have been Super Mario Brothers probably. I think that was the very first game I actually played where I was like, oh, okay, I can actually make it to the end of a level and not die. I guess I owe it all to my uncle. He doesn't play video games as much anymore, but you know, I'm carrying on the legacy, I guess. In terms of like picking up video games, or whether or not I did it over time or not, man, I'm gonna be honest with you, I really didn't get a chance to play video games regularly until so after that we moved here, and our parents surprised us with a Sega Genesis.
Sonic the Hedgehog. More action, more speed. Sega Genesis, it's a whole lot more for less.
And we had Sonic Spinball, and I played that for a while. I mean, that game was kind of difficult because let's be honest, pinball games are extremely unpredictable. So even with Sonic, it's like, oh man, he's hitting them all over the place, and then you fall into the acid and you're dead. So I played video games a little bit. We played Sonic 3 every once for a good while. I think it was more and more over time. I don't think I really started playing video games like for hours and hours at a time until maybe the PlayStation 2 generation, when I think Roddy Out of Stories came out. I think that was the very first time ever in my life that I stayed up the entire night playing a video game. I bought the game from GameStop. I came home, I started playing it, and I didn't stop until mid-afternoon the next day. The way I grew up, I think most of the people in my family played video games, actually. My uncle played video games. My mom played video games. My dad played video games. My mom bought my dad, I remember specifically, my mom bought my dad a Game Gear for his birthday one year. And I remember I asked him about it recently, and he was like, man, there'd be times where I'd have my Game Gear and I'd be in the bathroom playing my Game Gear. He's like, yo, man, I got to get these billable hours done. I can't be in here playing this Game Gear like this. So, my parents played video games. My uncle played video games. My aunt played video games. So everybody around me was always like, they were already kind of gamers. They weren't like hardcore gamers like I am, or my brothers or my sister are, but they were gamers. And then the friends that I met and I grew up with, they also played video games. I don't think I was friends with anybody who wasn't a gamer, because I'm kind of like, if you know how like people would say, if you played video games, you're not cool. Well, in my mind, if you didn't play video games, you weren't cool, man. So I was like, come on, man, you got to play video games. Well, when I was a kid, we used to, our parents used to drop us off at this one lady's house. Her name was Cassandra, and they had Street Fighter 2. They had Street Fighter 2, and we used to play that for a little bit. I mean, I liked Street Fighter 2. I liked Street Fighter, But the game that I really made me fall in love with fighting games, like really, my mom, years later, my mom and dad wanted us to be occupied, which basically means keep your kids quiet while we're trying to do stuff. So we were going on vacation, and they bought a PlayStation that had it had a Crash Bandicoot 2 and like Madden and Game Day 99, which were cool games. But we didn't have any fighting games or any other games or anything like that. So my mom went to eBay and bought a bunch of games like Final Fantasy VII, Monopoly, Parappa the Rapper, and it was like a big lot of games, like all packed up together. Like somebody was just like, man, I'm getting rid of these games. And one of the games was Tekken 2. My bros were like, man, this game is amazing. We played the heck out of that. I think that was the first game where I really felt like that game. And then I think like started me out, really, really started me out. The next game after that that really was like, okay, you're a fighting game player was Street Fighter Alpha 3. That announcer, Street Fighter Alpha 3. I mean, we were like, this is it. Somebody actually, the way I got that game was, I was in a wrestling team and somebody brought it with them to school, and we were all in the wrestling team like locker room playing the game. And I was like, yo, I cannot live without this game. I will buy your copy off of you. And he was like, all right, man, if you want it that bad. I'm like, I do, give me the game. So I bought it, I took it home to my bros. I'm like, guys, take a look at this. And we were all so hyped. Basically, we played that game, and then anytime we saw any of the characters from Street Fighter Alpha 3, we all got hyped. I mean, man, that was so it would probably be Tekken 2 started us out, but Street Fighter Alpha 3 was basically the game that made us in my opinion, made us fall in love with fighting games. When I decided to start playing competitively was about, let's see, right like 2018, the end of 2018 was when I decided I was going to start playing competitively. And it was completely by chance. I just started streaming maybe a month or two before that when Anime Dallas was here in 2018. And I was like, oh man, this is going to be great. I'm going to have so much fun. This is awesome. So I went to Anime Dallas 2018. I think that was the first one they did actually. I went there and there was a Tekken tournament there. And I was like, okay, I'll play Tekken. I'm okay at Tekken. Well, actually, that's not true. At that point, I thought I was pretty good. Deal is that I used to play my friends in college and brothers, and I was just playing the game, just playing it, whatever. I didn't study anything. I didn't go and learn any combos or anything like that. But I was getting people to stop playing the game, just by doing that. And I thought, oh, I'm pretty good. I'll play the game. I beat almost everybody that I played against except for one guy, and his name was Kato Nguyen. He's a guy from Houston, and he bodied me pretty hard. The first tournament I actually went to was outside, like actual like big tournament was Texas Showdown over in Houston, and I think that was the real beginning of everything, because I met some of the dudes from Austin. They were just walking through the parking lot, and I was like, hey, are you guys here for the tournament? And they were like, yeah, we're here for the tournament. Like, what was it? It was Ricky, Dave, Jake, Julio, all these. They didn't know me from Adam, but they were like, yeah, man, come on, we'll hook you up. They got me in touch with some of the people here in Dallas, the FGC here in Dallas, and I was like, wow, man, like I didn't know that there was like this big, huge community for the FGC. Not only like not just like in general, but like pockets like Dallas, Austin, Houston, like even like the East Coast, like Philadelphia and stuff like that. I was like, I had no idea. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. Wow. That story, it's like I would say a really roundabout kind of story, I think. Because what happened was Ryan Champ was like my my original point of contact for the Dallas FGC. He used to run the Ice House up I think it was over near in North Dallas. And all these people like that play Tekken would come through, and people would bring their monitors and their PS4s, and we would just play Tekken for hours. And that was the first time I ever done anything like that in my life. And I got to tell you, that was, even now I look back on that experience. There were a couple of times where people got a little like bristly, back then. But even then, it was still a really good experience. meeting all these different players with with like people who had like differing mindsets, the same mindsets and stuff like that. I met Ryan Champ, and he also he put me in touch with Brian Greer, going to Thursday Night Throwdown. So I went to Thursday Night Throwdown, and I liked Thursday Night Throwdown. The problem is that at that time, I was picking up my dad. I had to pick up my dad from work every day, every night. And my dad would get out of work at like 7 o'clock, which is usually around the time that they would started brackets. So I was like, I went that one time. I was like, I would love to come back, but it's a little bit too early for me. So I didn't go back for a while. I was hit up by John Villapando, and randomly, I never met the guy before in my life, ever. And he says, "Hey, we're trying to get people together to for tournaments to play round robin Street Fighter V." And I'm like, I mean, I play Street Fighter V, but I don't know, maybe, I guess we can play. I mean, I've been trying to get into Street Fighter V, so I'll play with you. So I met up with John. I went to meet John, John, and like they have Brian, aka Bus Driver Dog there. We got Kevin, Kyle, Carl. I remember John Cow was there. Yeah, like there's some really cool peeps there. Like the first day I got there. I mean, I was there from like the very first couple of weeks that they did it, and I mean they're so big now, right? So the thing is that they were already kind of doing the thing where they would sponsor the person who won the tournament to go to Thursday Night Throwdown. So I didn't win, of course, because I was terrible at Street Fighter V. So I think Kevin won. He was like the guy who won. So he won, and Kevin couldn't show up for Thursday Night Throwdown. So then they were like, "Oh well, Brian, he can show up." And like, nah, Brian couldn't show up either. So, but John hits me up on Facebook and he says, "Well, by the law of default, you're the winner." So you can get to sponsor us in Street Fighter V at Thursday Night Throwdown. And I was like, "What? Okay." So I started showing up both at collisions and at combat at Thursday Night Throwdown, and I mean, I had friends like with the guys with collisions, a friend with Brian and Cliff and Joe over on Thursday Night Throwdown Combat Championship Series. I mean, they're really cool people. So I was like, you know what? I want to get more involved. Like because at one point I was going to try to make my own event. But then I thought about it. I was like, you know what? There's already 2 events. We already have 2 events going on right now. We got Thursday Night Throwdown for sure and combat and collisions. So instead of like trying to divide it up even more, like, I'm just going to be like, I'm going to focus on helping these guys build their foundation and contribute more to their stuff and help them build up. And then maybe after like they've got like their foundation all laid and everything like that, maybe I'll make my own event. But yeah, because of those guys, because of Brian and John and all the guys from both sides, they're the ones who really got me 100% invested, really personally invested into the FGC. Wow, the E-Amazing Experience brand, huh? Like, man, look back at the E-Amazing Experience. Well, the name actually comes from a long time ago, back when I was in college, 2009. We were playing Rock Band. We were playing Rock Band a lot, and the thing about it is that we started out wanted to do like a campaign kind of thing, I guess, and you have to come up with a name for your band. So at that point, everybody was playing instruments. We'd switch off. We had one guy, one of our buddies, would play the drums. We had me and 2 other guys. It was me, basically me and Justin, Melville, and our buddy James. James played the drums. Justin, me, and Melville all switched between playing playing bass guitar and guitar. And like at that point, the only person who ever was on vocals was me. And they were kind of like, well, since you're the guy who's the front man pretty much and you're on vocals, we'll call it the E-Amazing Experience. So I was like, okay, fine, call it the E-Amazing Experience. So after I left FDU, I came back here to Texas, and my mom wanted me to start I wanted to start recording video game footage, because I thought recording video game footage was, to me, one of the coolest things ever. Like seeing people just recording, not even voiceovers or anything like that, just a person recording a video game that they're playing. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. So I bought a capture card. It was like a really like low tier capture card, and eventually I upgraded to the Elgato. Um, and my mom was like, "You should do like a show." And I was like, "You know what? Well, yeah, I guess we can call it the E-Mazing Experience after the rock band group that we made me and my buddies made in college." After that, I didn't really do anything. I recorded a few reviews, and that was it. And then one of my buddies, he was moving from California to Texas, so he came to stay with us for a while. He was like, "Oh, you should do streaming." And I was like, "Oh, you think I could do that?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "You know what? I already have the capture card. I have the consoles. I had a PS4 already, an Xbox One. I had a laptop, so I was like, yeah, I mean, why not?" So yeah, that's pretty much the origin. It's a very convoluted origin story, but yeah. It's funny. I was like, man, it's kind of cool, like to actually do an interview and then be interviewed. Like I got into doing interviews by, well, one of the things was like I wanted to do interviews. I thought there's some really interesting people in the FGC, in the video gaming community, and the streaming community in general. So I started interviewing some streamers. I interviewed, who did I interview first? I interviewed Purple Mango Gaming. I interviewed him first. Then I was like, okay, I'm going to interview. I interviewed Kato, the guy who beat me up at Anime Dallas. I interviewed Sebastian Jones. He made, I don't know if you ever heard of Niobe. It's like a comic book series. It's actually going to be I think they signed a deal. I think it's going to be on HBO, like a show. I interviewed him. I interviewed William Hayashi, who did the Dark Side trilogy books. I interviewed Milton Davis. And I did a bunch of, it was really interesting because those interviews that I did was like, I did it with Sebastian, Milton, William. I did all of those interviews all on the same day, actually. I also interviewed one of my buddies, Uriah Boleto. He's a tester, a Q&A tester over at Bungie. And, it was really, really great of him to actually come on and be interviewed. He used to live here in Dallas. He lived in Plano, and he moved up to Seattle when he got his job at Bungie. So yeah, man, I got a couple more people that I actually want to interview. Yeah, like right now I'm trying to focus on really solidifying where I want to go with the channel now, because things are like kind of popping a little bit more now, I think. If you want to follow your boy MC E-Mazing, go and check me out on stream, of course, at www.twitch.tv/EMazingXP. That's EMAZINGXP. You can hit me up on Twitter at MAZING_MC. That's mazing_MC. Instagram at MC_E-Mazing. And of course, you can find me on YouTube under the name MC E-Mazing.